We now have a double-digit number of MCU Disney Plus shows. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome back to another video. So today I got my ranking of all of the MCU Disney Plus shows. With the recent release of Marvel Studios' Echo, it's time to rank all these. Before I get into this, be sure to hit that like button and drop your ranking of the MCU Disney Plus shows down below. Subscribe and hit that notification bell to help reach my goal of 100,000 subscribers here on the channel. It means a lot. And go show some love to the Unusual Couple podcast link down below for weekly episodes with myself and my girlfriend Cam. I'm doing this tier list style, and without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so the tiers I have are the best, really good, solid, meh, and the worst. And I'll only put one in the top and bottom tier. There's 10 of these shows. They're randomized. Let's do this thing, starting out with Hawkeye. This is a holiday season delight, in my opinion, and wildly overhated. I see people say this is the worst MCU Disney Plus show. I could not disagree more. It gives us a nice little retirement story for Clint Barton in a way, and he passes the torch on to Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop, and she is wonderful in the role. In fact, it's rare that we get someone this young as like a lead protagonist in an MCU project. Usually they're in their 30s, 40s, 50s. Kate Bishop is college age, and when I first watched the show, I was in college, so she was very easy to relate to. The inclusion of Yelena was awesome here, and seeing her hunting down Hawkeye and having to let go of sort of this vengeance in her heart. Plus, you bring back Kingpin from the Daredevil show, so it's a fun time. I think it's wildly overhated. Yeah, it's a little goofy, but I'm going in the really good tier. In terms of MCU Disney Plus TV, it's one of my favorites. I haven't rewatched it in a while, but this upcoming holiday season, I'm hoping to finally rectify that. Next, we got The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, another one of those shows that I think is wildly overhated. I think a lot of the 2021 MCU projects, people are like, oh, they stink. But if you look back at them now, with all the other projects we've gotten, I think people might be more appreciative of them. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier shines a light on Bucky Barnes and Sam Wilson post-Avengers Endgame. They're both adapting to a new world, and they're both overcoming their own struggles. Sam Wilson, over the course of the show, becomes the new Captain America and has to embrace this role, despite the fact that a lot of society doesn't want it. You also got John Walker in the picture, who is sort of an anti-hero of sorts, trying to be the new Captain America, when in reality, he's just not the guy for the job. And then Bucky Barnes is dealing with a bunch of PTSD, adapting to a new world. This is like the first time we see Bucky post the first Avenger, where he's trying to adapt to a state of normalcy as no longer the Winter Soldier. He's been freed of those shackles, and Sebastian Stan crushes it here. The opening of episode 4 in particular is some of the best acting on an MCU TV show in my mind. The Flag Smashers are the weak link here for sure, but I don't let that weigh the show down too much, because pretty much 90% of the MCU projects have awful villains. Even Guardians of the Galaxy does. I'm putting this in really good, and right now I'm actually going to go slightly above Hawkeye, I think. This show has really grown on me over time. I've always been a fan of it ever since it dropped, but it's one of the stronger, pure drama series in the MCU, and I think people need to go back and rewatch this one now that it's been a few years. I think a lot of people maybe just hate on it because it's popular to do that on social media, but it's awesome, and it gave us one of the best comic-accurate suits with Sam Wilson's cap suit. I'm ready for more of Sam Wilson's Captain America, and I cannot wait for Thunderbolts with Bucky and John Walker. Next, we got Echo. This is the recently released MCU Disney Plus show. It's also on Hulu, but it's the first one out of all these where all the episodes dropped at once. It was only 5 episodes, so it's the least amount of episodes out of all these shows. And also, it is the first TVMA rated show. Now, in my mind, it was a complete and total marketing gimmick. There's like a handful of shots in the entire series that would remotely warrant that TVMA rating, and it's usually just they show a little more blood than normal. Like we see CGI blood, a dude coughs some up. There's like one headshot in the show, but the rest of it tonally is just like the rest of the MCU Disney Plus shows. It has the same gloss and aesthetic as the other MCU Disney Plus shows. I'm putting it in the meh tier just because it is cool to see Kingpin in the picture, and I think Alaqua Cox was born to play the role of Maya Lopez. But other than that, this show doesn't provide much. It feels pretty meaningless, and it's really close to being one of the outright worst MCU Disney Plus series in my mind. But that spot is reserved for She-Hulk. This is the single worst MCU Disney Plus show, so I'm putting it there now. It's actually the only one where I've struggled to finish it. I've watched the finale, and I've watched about 4 or 5 of the other episodes, but I've had to almost skim through the others just because I find the show to be almost unwatchable. I just think it's painfully unfunny and cringe, and that's just how I feel. The inclusion of Daredevil, sure, it's neat at times, but the finale goes batshit crazy, not for the better. There are very questionable decisions made in my mind, and I just think this show is highly forgettable and, again, literally unwatchable. A lot of people I know are like, yeah, I struggled to even finish She-Hulk. So to me, it's like one of the worst pieces of MCU content, point blank period. Next, we got Moon Knight. I have a controversial take on this one, but I own it. I think this show's meh. I think it's better than Echo, obviously, but I'm putting it at the top of meh right now. Oscar Isaac, outstanding. Perfectly cast in this role, and he's one of the better actors the MCU's picked up in recent years. But this show feels all over the place, not for the better. It makes a decision at the end of the 4th episode that baffles me, and the follow-up to it in the 5th episode was kind of like, damn, you could have done something really cool here, and you fell off. And then the 6th episode feels like it has to continue to follow the template of these 6-episode MCU Disney Plus shows where there's this big battle between these CGI characters, and you're just like, why is this forced in here? The final scene of the show is too ambiguous for its own good. It kind of made me question the point of the entire show. And while Oscar Isaac is great, and I think the production design of the show is cool too, like I like Moon Knight's costume and everything as well, I just find this to be highly forgettable. Arthur Harrow, played by Ethan Hawke, waste of talent right there. Ethan Hawke's one of the more talented actors alive right now, and they just put his character to waste. This show tried to be like too edgy and trippy in my mind, and it just fell flat, making it an outright meh experience for me. But moving on, we've got WandaVision. I know I've had my ups and downs with WandaVision over the years, but I will always cherish that week-to-week hype. That was something else. I mean, every week we were speculating and theorizing to the max. Who's going to show up? What's going to happen? And this was all born from the fact that we saw Evan Peters as what we thought was Quicksilver at the time, and it was going to tie in the Fox X-Men and all of this, and it was going to be a revolutionary thing for the MCU. It was also the first MCU content we had since 2019 at the time. We went the entirety of 2020 without a new MCU movie or show. This was the first MCU show, and it was the first MCU content since July of 2019. It's solid in retrospect. I'm going to put it there right now. I don't love this as much as others. I do cherish the time we had on a week-to-week basis. You know, it was so much fun. I would stay up late into the night and watch these episodes as they dropped. But in all honesty, they kind of fumbled the bag in the finale. Structurally, it got a little messy, and a lot of this show just feels dragged out. If you go back and try and rewatch it, you'll notice I wanted to love this show, and I remember being disappointed by the finale, and it hasn't aged well for me, but it's still a solid watch. The best moment in this show is when the credits start rolling and then Wanda and Vision start arguing, and Vision's like, "You don't get to make that choice for me, Wanda." And then that's when we see Evan Peters come in. That was the peak of the show, and everything after that was kind of it fizzled out a bit. Next we've got Loki. This is going in the best. This is the king of the MCU Disney Plus shows. It got 2 seasons, and it's over, seemingly, and it had a perfect ending. Over the course of 2 seasons, this show made Loki into one of the best written characters in the MCU, with one of the better arcs I've seen. He's fully redeemed by the end, but you also got a great cast of side characters. It explores Kang, sure, especially in the 2nd season, but Sylvie's a great supporting character who's constantly questioning morality and, like, the meaning of everything. But then you've got Mobius here, played by Owen Wilson, who's one of my absolute favorite characters in recent memory in the MCU. Of course, Owen Wilson has his great comedic quips and bits, but he's so lovable, and the final lines of season 2 have resonated with me deeply. This is a thought-provoking watch. It makes you ponder questions about the multiverse and the overall state of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it's clever, it's dramatic, and what's most impressive about Loki is that it feels detached from the MCU in the best possible way. Like, you could just watch this show as a pure TV drama and be like, man, this is just damn good television. It doesn't feel like an MCU Disney Plus show. It's not weighed down by that Marvel Studios logo at the beginning. It is just outstanding TV, and that's why it is the best of the MCU Disney Plus shows. Next, we've got Miss Marvel, which I enjoy quite a bit. I'm going to put it at the top of the solid tier. It's 6 episodes, and I wish we got a little bit more out of it, but early on, you gotta love this show. It explores Kamala in high school, and it's got the coming-of-age Spider-Man Homecoming feel of this young teenage girl finding powers and having to deal with that and trying to conceal it from her friends. It goes a little off the rails in like episode 5. We get this big flashback episode, the penultimate ep as well. I was kind of like, man, this is kind of taking the wind out of the sails a bit, but it has a decent enough finale. I almost wish it was more like the first 2 episodes throughout the entire series, but Kamala Khan is so naturally charismatic. Iman Vellani crushes it in the role, and her family is hilarious. Seeing just their interactions make for some of the best, most memorable moments in the show, and I'm excited for more of this character in the MCU. She was a highlight of the Marvels, and I feel like she's going to be a scene stealer in any of her future MCU projects as well. Next, we've got What If. Season 1 was very meh. Season 2 had more unique concepts and was a little more intriguing, but through and through, to me at least, I mean, this show's not necessary. It's not really a required viewing. It's more like extra bonus content if you're an MCU fan, to explore some neat concepts, some cooler than others, but it's kind of an afterthought in my opinion. Like, if you find yourself with a few hours to kill, yeah, you could binge a season of What If, but in reality, it's not doing much for the MCU. It focuses a lot on Peggy Carter, strangely enough, who's just a character that I'm done with. I don't need to see Captain Carter. And while season 2 has, you know, ideas involving Shang-Chi and Hela and Nebula, and it even gives us a Die-Hard parody, I just find that What If as a whole is pretty meh. I'm gonna put it like in the middle of meh. I think that it's probably better than Echo, but Moon Knight probably gets the edge just because of Oscar Isaac's performance. But yeah, What If's just fine. It exists. I think we're getting a 3rd season soon. I'll watch it. But when it comes to What If, compared to a lot of these shows, it's kind of the one where I'm like, oh, I'm just checking the box here to say I watched all the MCU shows. And last on this list is Secret Invasion, which it might be the most disappointing. Trailers really sold it as this darker thriller show within the MCU. The comparisons to Captain America the Winter Soldier were dropping early on with, it being a spy film. And the first episode, like the opening, reminded me a lot of the first Mission Impossible film. And I was kind of hooked. And then as you watch the show unfold, it loses its focus, unfortunately. And by the finale, it gets straight up goofy. It's nice that Nick Fury got to headline a project after all these years. I feel like it's deserved. It has a lot of neat concepts and ideas, but it doesn't fully flesh a lot of them out, which ultimately makes it feel pretty surface level. And to me, it's a meh show. I think it's better than Echo, and I would probably put it over What If, but I do think Moon Knight might actually be more watchable than Secret Invasion at the end of the day. But that does it for my ranking of all these MCU Disney Plus shows. If I was to do it straight up, it would be number 1, Loki, number 2, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, number 3, Hawkeye, number 4, Miss Marvel, number 5, WandaVision, number 6, Moon Knight, 7, Secret Invasion, 8, What If, 9, Echo, and 10, She-Hulk. But let me know your ranking of these shows in the comments down below. Where does Echo place? Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to help me reach my goal of 100,000 subscribers here on the channel. It mean a lot. And go show some love to the Unusual Couple podcast for weekly episodes with myself and my girlfriend Cam. But that's going to do it. Thank you guys as always, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.